In this video I will talk about all the new Minecraft 1.16 features. The update was released today and here's everything you need to know. Minecraft 1.16 is a Nether update. There are 4 new biomes in the Nether. First, the Basalt Deltas. It's a volcanic biome filled with pillars of basalt and large areas of Blackstone. The air is filled with a light grey ash-like particle and you can find a lot of magma cubes spawning here, also ghasts and also new mobs called Striders. You can also see there are a few small lava lakes and you can find magma blocks in there. The next biome is the Warped Forests biome. It's a biome made out of trees, out of nether trees, and they don't have leaves. They have warped wart blocks as leaves and the stems are made out of warped stems. It's a nether wood that is a bit glowing and shiny, and you can also find a lot of endermen spawning here. They are the only mobs that can spawn here besides the new Striders, and you can find them in the lava lakes. And there are also some Shroomlights in the trees for light and a lot of saplings, basically warped fungi on the floor. They will grow into these trees with bone meal. And the wood, the nether wood here, the stems, they are not be burned by lava. That's also interesting. The next biome is the Crimson Forest biome. It's a red color variation of the warped forest, and the trees are basically looking the same. You can find some red crimson stems, and also the leaves are made out of nether wart blocks, the normal nether wart blocks that you knew from earlier versions of the game. And this biome is a little bit more hostile. While you could only encounter endermen in the warped forest biome, you can find a few other new mobs here. For example, Piglins, they are hostile to you unless you wear some golden armor, and Hoglins. They are, yes, hogs basically, and they will beat you up really, really bad. There are different variations of plants. In this biome you can find vines hanging from the ceiling, and in the warped forest you could find vines growing from the bottom. And yeah, the saplings for these trees are the crimson fungi, and otherwise it looks basically the same as the warped forest. The last new biome is the Soulsand Valley biome. You can find huge pillars of basalt in here, from the ceiling all the way to the bottom in the lava lakes. And you can also find a new version of Soulsand in here called Soul Soil. It looks a little bit different from normal Soulsand. And you can find fossils made out of bone blocks in here. And also you can encounter blue fire. If a ghast shoots at you and the soul soil will be ignited, the fire will be blue, basically. You can find mostly ghasts spawning here, also skeletons and a bit more rarely endermen. If you want information about all future updates after the Nether update, consider subscribing, because I will make more videos for future updates and you won't miss anything. Thanks a lot. Let's start with the first new mob, the Hoglin. It's living in the Crimson Forest and it's also spawning here. It's a hostile mob with 40 health and 20 hearts. And they drop pork chop, raw pork chop and leather. They have an adult version and also a baby version. They can be bred with crimson fungi that you can find in the biome here. You will see the hard particles. And they are also hunted by the Piglins that can also spawn in here. We will take a look at them soon. And they avoid placed warped fungi. When you place them here, they will be afraid of them and will run away. They will also be afraid of nether portals. They will not freely walk into them. And they are also afraid of respawn anchors. They are also new blocks. I will teach you about them later. When they somehow happen to walk into a nether portal and will be teleported to the normal world, to the overworld, they will transform into a zombified version, the Zoglin. And the Zoglins are basically hostile to every creature, also to normal Hoglins, besides creepers. And yeah, they are very, very aggressive. The next mob on the list is the Piglin. And piglins will also spawn in the Crimson Forest biome and the Old Nether biome. And they randomly spawn with a golden sword or a crossbow. And they like gold very, very much. As you can see, they have golden equipment. And if you throw in gold item on the floor, they will run to it, pick it up, take a look at it, inspect it very carefully, and then they will throw out an item. Then it can be a very good item, for example, iron boots with a new enchantment, soul speed. And all the items that are tradable with them, I will show them later in a small separate clip. It can be very useful to trade with them, but it can also be very expensive as you need a gold ingot for each trade. It's called bartering. You don't have to throw it on the floor. You can also give it to them with a right click. The piglins will attack hoglins from time to time, and they will basically hunt them. Also, they will flee from soul fire items. It's also a new item, blue fire, you've already seen it. We will talk about it later. And there was the hunt. And they will also attack wither skeletons on site, and the wither skeletons also attack back. That's very interesting. And the next thing, like the hoglins, they will also be zombified when they take a step into the overworld. The old zombie pigman is now called zombie piglin. And yeah, Hoglin, Zoglin, Piglin, Zombie Piglin, and the old mob basically got transformed to the new Zombie Piglin. Piglins will be afraid of Zombie Piglins. They will also flee from these ones. And the Zombie Piglins are also able to spawn in other biomes, for example, the Nether Waste biome and so on. This one was spawned naturally and not with a spawn egg. The next new mob on the list is the Strider. It's a passive mob that spawns in the Nether on lava oceans. It drops strings. It can be settled and controlled with a warped fungus on a stick. This is basically a fishing rod with a warped fungus on it. And you can put a saddle on it. And you can ride it. It looks very weird. It has a big head and 2 legs. And when you select the warped fungus on a stick, it will walk into the direction that you're looking. You can give it a little boost by right-clicking the rod, and the Strider will walk faster. And it has a pretty decent speed, I have to say. When it steps on land, however, it will be slower, and the Strider won't feel well at all. They will get a purplish color, and it seems like they are freezing here. So when you ride it again and go back on the lava, they will turn red again, and they will feel normal again. That's very cool. Sometimes they can spawn already with a saddle equipped and with a zombie piglin riding on it. And they can also spawn with a baby Strider riding on it, but then there's no saddle. And they can also be bred with warped fungi. And you can have baby Strider. They will look like this. If you like this video, smash the like button, because it will boost the YouTube algorithm and it will help a lot. Thanks. Let's continue with all the new blocks. There's a new ore that you can find in the Nether called Ancient Debris. It's very rare. You can find it in every Y coordinate from the ceiling to the bottom, but in the bottom it's more concentrated. It's more likely to find it on the level of lava lakes or lower. It's for new armor. That's better than diamonds, but we will talk about it later again. Next block, Basalt. You've already seen it in the Basalt Delta biome, or also the long pillars in the Soulsand Valley biome. There's also a polished version of it. And next there's a block of netherite. The block of netherite is basically the new material that you can get from ancient debris in block form. You can have gold blocks, emerald blocks, diamond blocks, iron blocks, and this is a netherite block version. Next thing, iron chains. You can craft them mostly for decoration. There are a new nether brick block, the chiseled nether bricks, and also the cracked nether bricks. They won't naturally spawn in nether fortresses, but you can craft them for decoration purposes. And you can also get the new Nylium blocks. This is netherrack with the corresponding nether grass on top. For the crimson forest you will get the red version, and for the warped forest you will get the blue version or green version. Next, you can also craft a lot of new blocks with the warped stems from the crimson forest and also from the warped forest. It's basically the same that you can do with normal wood, but in the nether version, and you cannot craft boats with it because there's no version or nether wood version of the boat. It's also not flammable, it won't burn in an oven, but you can craft planks, stairs, fences, slabs, trapdoors, doors, signs, everything out of it. You can also strip them with an axe, and this is the purple version, the crimson version, and it's pretty self-explanatory. And there are even more blocks. You can find it in the Basalt deltas. It's Blackstone, and you can craft Blackstone slabs, stairs, polished Blackstone, chiseled Blackstone, Blackstone bricks and cracked Blackstone bricks out of it. And there are also stairs and slab versions of the Blackstone bricks here. And there's also another one, the gilded Blackstone. And this is a special block. It counts as half an ore, half an gold ore. You can find it in bastions. These are new structures that can generate in the nether, filled with piglins and so on, but that's also a topic that we will talk about later. Next, there are a few more blocks. For example, crying obsidian. You can find it in nether portal ruins. There are structures that can spawn in the nether, and you can also get them by bartering with the piglins. And you can craft a respawn anchor with it, and this is basically an item or block that can set your respawn point here in the nether. You have to fill it up with glowstone, right click on it, and you will hear a sound, and also it can fill up to 4 charges. So with each charge there's an icon here, and if you fill it completely you will also get an achievement. If you shift right click on it, you will set your respawn point here, and every time you die you will respawn on this respawn anchor. And that's very good, because in earlier versions you could only respawn in the overworld, as you can't place beds in the nether. But be careful, if you right click or try to set your spawn point outside of the nether in the overworld or the end, this thing will explode, basically exactly the same like a bed would in the nether. So you can't sleep in the nether, bed explodes here, and you also can't set your respawn point in overworld, the lodestone will explode. Next, not lodestone, the respawn anchor. Next item, next block is the lodestone, and the lodestone has a pretty interesting concept. It's basically a beacon. You can craft a compass and also link it to this lodestone by shift right clicking, and the compass will always point into the direction of the lodestone, no matter where you are, no matter how far away you are. It's basically a map marker for you if you have trouble finding your way home, if you have trouble remembering the way where you're walking. And yeah, it's basically a map marker and the beacon. Next item or next block is the Nether Gold Ore, which is basically a gold ore for the nether. Then you can also craft a new quartz block, the quartz bricks, for decoration purposes. You can't find them naturally, you have to craft them. And there are also Shroomlights. I've already shown you these. They can spawn in the new trees, in the nether trees, and they provide a reasonable amount of light. Next new block is the Soul Campfire. It's basically the same as a normal campfire, but it deals double damage. And you can craft it with the soil blocks instead of the coal. And the soil blocks, I've already shown it to you. You can find them in the Soulsand Valley biome. You can also craft soulfire lanterns and soulfire torches. And these are the items that piglins are afraid of. Also, I think they're also afraid of the campfire. They considered it in the code. Next item, the target block. Very interesting concept. You can use it for practicing bow aiming. So when you shoot an arrow on it, it will eject a redstone signal if you place a comparator on it, depending on how precise you've hit the middle red dot. If you will hit it perfectly, it will emit a signal of 15 redstone with a strength of 15. And if you hit it in the corner or corresponding where you hit it, it will emit a lower redstone level. That's all. And this is the wart block. You've already seen it in the warped forest biome. It's basically the leaves of the trees there. And I didn't put this nether wart block in here because it's an old block. You've already had it in earlier versions of the game, but now it will generate as leaves of these trees. Then one other block is here. We have so many blocks in this update. And this is the twisting vines. You can climb on them. They can also spawn naturally in the warped forest biome. And corresponding, we have the weeping vines. It's basically a block, not an item, so I have to cover it here. You can also climb these. Let's continue with all the new items. We can find a new music disc in the bastions, and it's some rare loot. It's a new soundtrack. You can put it in a jukebox normally, like every other music disc as well. It has some dark sound, dark melody in here. So let's stop it for now, because it will take too long to listen to it completely. Next item is netherite scrap. You can get it when you smelt the new ancient debris ore in a furnace. And you will need 4 of these netherite scraps, so 4 ancient debris ores, and 4 gold ingots to craft a new netherite ingot. This is the new material to craft or upgrade diamond armor to netherite armor. You will need a smithing table for this, and also a diamond armor. And when you put a diamond armor in this slot here and a netherite ingot, you can upgrade your diamond armor to a netherite chestplate. And as you can see, the netherite equipment is far better. It has knockback resistance on it. That's very strong. You won't get knocked back anymore, or not that much anymore at least. And you will also need only 1 netherite ingot to upgrade the armor, and you don't have to do a crafting recipe like this, like you have to do with a diamond armor. But that's only natural because it's so hard to get these netherite ingots, as the ancient debris ore is so rare. And yeah, full equipment looks like this. And if you want to have your equipment maxed out, you should always aim for the netherite armor. But consider it is a lot of grinding. Really, really a lot of grinding. Then next items on the list are the netherite tools. Also netherite weapon. You can also upgrade netherite pickaxes, shovels, axes, swords, and hoes to the diamond equipment to the netherite equipment. It will also need only 1 netherite ingot. And also the netherite hoe has a new function. It's now the dedicated tool for nether wart blocks, for example. In earlier versions, there was no dedicated tool for nether warts, and now you have one. You can enchant efficiency on it, and you can insta-mine all the nether warts on the trees, as they won't decay after we remove the stem. Then next thing, or next item, is the banner pattern. You can also find it in bastions, and you can craft it in the loom. Banner plus dye plus the pattern, and you will get this snout pattern. And it will look like this. If you try it in purple, it will be with the Twitch logo. But yeah, it should have some similarities to the Piglin's face, I guess. Next, let's talk about structures. I found the Basalt Delta biome with a huge new dungeon called Bastion here. And this is a dungeon that's inhabited by piglins. And you will probably enter on this side here somehow. And there are a lot of hidden chests inside. For example, we can fly up here in spectator mode and check out one of the loot chests. And you can sometimes find netherite, scraps or ancient debris inside, and also a lodestone, for example. This is one of the rarer items. It should be theoretically worth raiding these dungeons here, or these bastions. And when you enter the main room, they are always different, by the way. So they are generated in different sections. This is the treasure room. There's also housing and whatnot, 5 different structure types. And every bastion is different, so it's not always the same. Here's an example for the treasure room. You can walk inside and it looks absolutely huge. You can try to find your way down there, and on each layer it's basically a destroyed castle. You might have to bring some blocks with you so that you can navigate through here. You will find chests on different spots. I'm not sure if I can see another one here, but what's for sure, on the bottom side there's always a chest, and there's also a huge pile of gold. And in this treasure chest here there's also an enchanted diamond sword, blocks of gold and whatever. It's pretty OP. So there's another thing. You can also find a magma slime spawner here. This is the first time that this spawner was introduced in any dungeon. You can't find it anywhere else. But in each throne room there's a magma slime spawner here. Maybe you can use it for a farm or whatever. You can build a cage out of here and you can farm these and collect magma cream. The other important items that you can get here are the Piglin banner pattern, and also the new music disc. The next structure you can stumble upon are ruined portals. These are shattered remains of nether portals, and they generate in both the nether and the overworld. They can be buried underground or underwater, and there's also a loot chest next to the portal. You can find mostly obsidian or fire charges or flint and steel or something that indicates that you can complete this portal and light it and go into the nether or back to the overworld. There's also mostly a decoration block like gold next to it that you can harvest. And when they generate in the overworld, there's also a circle of netherrack generating with it. So you can walk through a forest and you can find netherrack in the overworld because there's a generated ruined portal structure. Next, there's an awesome new command. You can easily find biomes in creative mode now with /locate biome, and then, for example, Soulsand Valley. And if you press enter, you will get the exact coordinates in the chat. You can simply teleport to them. By coincidence, I'm already in a Soulsand Valley biome, so it's 45 blocks away. Simply teleport it, and yeah, you're in the next Soulsand Valley biome. So if you want to check out, for example, the Crimson Forest biome before you travel to it in creative mode, you can do it by searching it with the locate command, and that's pretty awesome. Now we finally come to the new enchantment. It's the Soul Speed enchantment. You can enchant boots with it, and if you walk on Soulsand, you will see that you walk pretty fast on it. Normally it will slow you down, and it can be pretty annoying to walk on Soulsand. But with the enchantment and the new boots, you can use it as a high-speed railway. So you can see the particles flying off. There are 3 different levels. I enchanted on Soul Speed 3. You can only get it by bartering with piglins or finding it in a bastion remnant. And how it works, there's a 4% chance that the durability of the boots go down for each soul sand or soul soil block stepped on. Of course not in creative mode, this is why the durability was not decreasing, but if you play it in survival, you have to consider that it will take durability to have it on your boots. Maybe you can combine it with mending on it, so you can fill the durability back up again. In terms of bartering with the piglins, you can get the following items with a certain chance. You can get an enchanted book with soul speed on a random level 1, 2, or 3. by the chance of 1.18%. You can get already enchanted iron boots with soul speed with a chance of 1.89%. You can get up to 36 iron nuggets or splash potion of fire resistance or potion of fire resistance with a chance of 2.36% chance. You can get nether quartz up to 16, up to 12 glowstone dust, up to 6 magma cream, up to 8 ender pearl or strings. Strings up to 24 by a chance of 4.73%. And you can get fire charge up to 5, gravel, leather, nether bricks, obsidian, or crying obsidian and soul sand with a chance of about 9.46%. There's also a new feature. You can switch between game modes now without using a chat command. You can press F3 plus F4 and then you can switch between the game modes in a special menu here. For example, creative mode, then F3 plus F4 to survival mode, adventure or spectator. It will cycle through these options with every button pressing. And now I'm in survival mode, now I can go to adventure mode, now I can go to spectator mode, and this is way faster than using a chat command. Also, when you press F3 plus N, you can cycle between spectator mode now and your previously used game mode. For example, if you are in survival mode and press F3, you will go to spectator mode and back to survival. If you're in creative mode, you will cycle between creative and spectator, spectator, creative, and so on. And that's a small difference. In earlier versions, you would only cycle between creative and spectator mode, but you couldn't use this in survival mode, or the survival mode would set you into creative mode and then to spectator, and then it will only cycle back to creative mode. It's a bit complicated, but it's super easy now to switch between game modes, and it's an awesome feature. It's also possible to export your world settings in an easy and convenient way. If you select the world, click on Edit, you can click here to export your world generation settings. And there are also a few other things like Optimize World and so on from older saves. And you can also import now JSON files, more world options, import settings. For example, you can create a JSON file with special generation settings. You can generate a Minecraft world that is a sky world with sky eyes like in the end, but in the overworld and with nether biomes, and you can lots of crazy stuff now. Simply click here and import the JSON file. Next, there are two new in-game settings. If you press options and video settings, you can now change your graphics setting, not just to fast or fancy, but also to fabulous. And yeah, as it said, Fabulous Graphics uses screen shaders for drawing weather, clouds and particles behind translucent blocks of water. This may severely impact performance for portable devices and for car displays. I didn't feel any difference with a normal computer, so it should be usable. Normal use on a PC, it won't matter at all. And the next setting is the entity distance setting, so you can increase it up to 500%. What this means, normally the creatures would despawn or disappear if you go too far away. Basically they disappear, you don't see them anymore. But if you increase this setting, you can go far away and the creatures won't disappear or won't disappear from being rendered. So if they despawn naturally, they will disappear anyway. You can see it with sheep or neutral mobs because they won't despawn and they just stay. Okay. A lot of things have changed now, and you can build beacons with the base of netherite blocks, but that's totally unrealistic because it's taking so long to collect this. And you can also start the beacon with netherite now. As you can see, it's displayed here. Of course, it's not working here because I'm in the nether, but just to mention it, you can now make beacons with netherite blocks. Next, you can now ring bells with every projectile that you have. For example, snowballs are possible. You could do it with arrows, but now you can hit it with every projectile that you can find. And you can also hang these spells now on a lot of other blocks, for example, on anvils, brewing stands, chains, chest, ender chest, end rods, fences, flower pots, glass panes, grindstone hoppers, iron bars, mob heads, pistons, strap chests, and walls, and so on. They now connect to these blocks and they can be hung on them from the on the bottom side. Next, campfires, also a small change. You can now place food on them without them being lit. And you can keep it as that, as decoration. You could also do this in the last version of Minecraft, but you would have to use a splash potion of water to distinguish the fire, and then you would be able to keep the items on it. But yeah, that's now made a lot easier. And next you can compost all the new plants from the Nether update, the fungi and so on, and nether wart blocks in the composter. Also the old nether wart blocks, the new nether wart blocks, the fungi, the vines and so on, you can compost them. Nice addition. Then next you can craft furnaces with Blackstone, and you can also craft stone tools with Blackstone. You don't need cobblestone anymore to craft furnaces, so you can basically do everything in the Nether. Even beat the Ender Dragon and start out in the Nether because you have everything that you need. And also another change, lava is now pushing entities. When I step into it, it will push me, maybe a bit slow because of the Soulsand below. And previously this was not happening. Next we can spread Nylium by bone mealing it, or by bone mealing netherrack. And simply use bone meal on a block next to Nylium. If you use it here, nothing will happen. If you use bone meal here next to Nylium, it will spread. It will always spread one block. And if you use it on Crimson Nylium, it will spread Crimson Nylium. If you use it here on Warped Nylium, it will spread the Warped Nylium. And yeah, also another thing, if you use bone meal of the Nylium, it will grow plants like it would on grass on the overworld, in the overworld. Yeah, you can also get fungi by repeating this, and then you can also bone meal these fungi and you have some wood. Then finally the netherite hoe. I talked about that hoes are now the dedicated tool for nether wart blocks, but that's not all. It is now also the dedicated tool for sponges, wet sponges, dried kelp blocks, targets, shroomlights, leaves, and hay bales. And yeah, that's nice. You can also enchant it now with Silk Touch and Efficiency. And Soulsand blocks are a little bit different now as well. You can place buttons on them. This was previously not possible because they weren't a full block. And also there's a change with redstone. You can now switch it by right-clicking it. So the default look of redstone is now this. If you right-click it, you will get the small dot back. That's it for the most important features. Thanks for watching and see you next time.